Oh, shit. Wait. This just happened? Yo! The IRGC says 2 oil tankers exploded and caught fire after entering a mined route south of the Strait of Hormuz. Do we finally have mine contact for the first time? Sorry, buddy. Should have taken the IRGC prescribed route. You're paying the tolls. We finally have mine confirmation. You know where causing this? The U.S. military is literally goading ships into taking the non-IRGC prescribed route. If 2 full oil tankers just went up because they caught mines, no one's going through that passageway again. They probably didn't know if the mines were actually laid. Nobody's had confirmation. We haven't had any of the mines activate yet. Jesus Christ, it finally happened. Trying to see if there's any breaking news on this. Allegedly, this only happened like 20 minutes ago. Oil tankers faced worst-case scenario in Hormuz as Iran steps up attacks on ships. Not about the mines. What about the mines? I don't see anything. Can we get another confirmation of this besides the clash report? Do we have like another... Hold on. From r/oil. Okay, this is just repeating the Middle East Spectator Telegram post. Fuck, were they full? Were they full oil tankers? Is the whole strait just on fire right now? Bricks News. Listen, if full oil tankers are on fire, that fire is going to continue burning for hours and hours and hours, at a minimum, maybe days. There has to be video of it. There's no way. You can see the entirety of the strait from the coast on either side. We should have video of it. The IRGC that said the tankers had been deceived by U.S. intelligence orgs into entering the area and were hit while attempting to cross the route. By the way, just to be clear, I consider this American terrorism from us. We are literally lying to civilian transportation companies and telling them to go through fucking minefields just so that we feel less cucked over the fact that Iran controls the strait. Jesus Christ. And what do we mean by explode? Like a proper explosion? 2 oil tankers exploded and caught fire after attempting to transit a mined area in the southern Strait of Hormuz, according to the IRGC Navy. The IRGC Navy unequivocally announces the Strait of Hormuz has become highly perilous and is now fully sealed off due to the crimes of the U.S. military. The Navy said, as reported by the IRNA. Once again, the Navy reiterated, not a single shipment of chemical fertilizer, nor even a drop of oil or gas will be allowed to leave the region until Washington attacks on Iran cease. How many people did this kill? We don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, they were killed by the American military. Okay, yeah, Al Jazeera has the update. That's a confirmation right there. That's huge. Well, now we know there are mines. They're saying Tasneem reported. Yeah, but it's being treated credibly by Al Jazeera. I am surprised that we don't have any video or photos. The fire should be visible from either side of the coast. I'm gonna okay, this is actually potentially a huge deal. I'm going to spam refresh Twitter search until we find something. Well, there's this from 3 hours ago. The IRGC Navy published drone footage of a strike on a Thai-flagged commercial oil tanker in the Strait of Hormuz today after the vessel ignored warnings and attempted to transit without Iranian authorization. First time Iran has officially published footage of its strikes on these ships. America just keeps fucking goading these tankers. Apparently also Somali pirates just hijacked a tanker off the coast of Yemen. Been a while since I heard anything about Somali pirates. I guess they're back? Yeah, why not? I'm looking for any video, any picture. We have pictures of the strikes in Kuwait and Qatar. Yeah, but what about the tankers? Two full oil tankers blowing up via mine is huge. It's possibly the biggest escalation yet to happen. It's the first real confirmation we have that these are mined. It could have killed the crew, and it also means the strait might be on fire. It's a huge deal. And no tanker is going to want to risk braving the southern route now that there's confirmation of mine activity. Man, I really wish we could get some kind of confirmation here. I want to stay live until we get some kind of video or photo confirmation. Or at least a fire alert, you know? I don't understand why other countries would even want to try to get through without Iran say so. Well, they probably don't want to pay the fines. Also, Iran's not letting anything through right now. They're being lied to by the American military. The American military, they're facing enormous pressure to go through because countries need this oil. The American military is nah, go on, dog. It's fine. We'll protect you. Yeah, we literally earlier today saw that the spokesperson for CENTCOM said the Strait of Hormuz is open. They're just openly lying about it. Not just for it's not just the... Hold on, audio? What value is audio? This would be in Arabic or Farsi.
callsign Oman.
But never mind, I guess.
This is Iranian Stepan Heavy calling you on channel 16. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed.
Hold on, this is older audio. This is older audio. Not relevant to what we're looking at right now. The CENTCOM guy literally said they demined it during that video. Yeah, he was lying. We don't have any minesweepers in there. Tanker seems to have been hit here, which isn't very deep. No, this is from early this morning. This is not in reference to mining. The mines hit like 25 minutes ago. This is from earlier this morning. A lot has been happening, but the mines are a big deal. Like a very specific big deal. That's credits Reuters. I just want to see it. I wonder if I search tanker, but like in Arabic? Hold on. Tanker in Arabic. That's not helpful at all. I don't know what the equivalent, the semantic equivalent of tanker is in Arabic. Like they might not use the word tanker. They might have a different colloquial term. According to the Hormuz letter, Yemen has begun blockading the Bab al-Mandeb Strait. Everyone, you all need to tighten your assholes, okay? It's gonna get real nasty. Houthis blocking the strait plus Somali pirates getting active again. Yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be before we get any kind of report on what happened here. The mines is that's huge deal. I guess I'll just leave it at this for now. By tomorrow morning we should have more info. We blew up some bridges in Iran the other day.
Vital resources are coming under fire in Kuwait today. Iran struck a power and desalination plant there, prompting urgent public warnings from the government. Those warnings were to conserve water and electricity even as temperatures soar into the mid-40s on the Celsius scale. Iran also says it targeted US assets in Oman, Jordan and elsewhere, and it is threatening the ports of its Gulf neighbors. This all coming after an escalation in US attacks, including strikes on bridges in the south.
They did warn us. They very explicitly said that attacks on Iranian infrastructure would be met with attacks on the infrastructure of neighboring Gulf states.
South of Iran in what was a sixth straight night of bombing. CNN's Nick Robertson joining us today from Jerusalem. And Nick, 30 days after the, very what felt like historic signing of that MOU,
Shut the fuck up.
Seem as if things have escalated.
Jesus fucking Christ. I don't know why I watch CNN. Genuinely, it makes me want to fucking punch my ticket early, man. It's crazy. And like I feel like I'm watching the death of my country every time I turn this shit on. It's not just I would rather watch anything than CNN. Like they all have their marching orders. They all know that they can't question the president, at least not explicitly, not in a fundamental way. So they all have to like, we were all so shocked and surprised when we found the MOU, which was signed under conditions neither side ever agreed to, fell apart. No, they don't even say fell apart. They say seems to be being tested. Like America and Iran have both said this is no longer valid, and CNN will still be out here being like, it seems there's been some challenge. There's been some challenge to the historic MOU. Fuck, I'm so fucking mad right now. Al Jazeera, please.
8 people have been killed and 20 others injured in US airstrikes across southern Iran. Explosions were reported at railways, airports and bridges early Friday. Iranian authorities say that has slowed traffic along roads that connect major hubs. The US says the attacks hit dozens of military targets, including coastal surveillance and air defense positions. Iran's health ministry says the attacks this month have killed at least 38 people. US forces also struck coastal cities along the Strait of Hormuz overnight. Explosions were reported in the port cities of Bandar Abbas and Sirak. Qasem Island, home to Iran.
The bridges seem to be cutting off the south coast. Yeah, this is the concern. This is what we were talking about the other day. They struck 6 bridges overnight. Strikes appear aimed at cutting this coastal stretch off from supply lines, possibly as a prelude to a U.S. invasion of the nearby Qasem Island. This is like the only real reason that you would destroy these bridges if you were planning for a ground invasion, or you wanted to make it look like you were going to do a ground invasion. Because blowing up those bridges isn't going to impede any of the drones that Iran's been firing into the strait, or any of the fucking ballistic missiles, but it would get in the way of responding to a U.S. invasion.
Largest port, as well as key naval and Revolutionary Guards facilities, also came under attack. US Central Command says the attacks are aimed at further degrading Tehran's military capabilities. Iran says it's carried out a new wave of strikes targeting US military assets across the region. The Revolutionary Guard says...
Wouldn't the goal be economic damage? No, not really. Like, it's not like these areas are bumper-to-bumper traffic 24/7 and you're interrupting a bunch of prosperous businessmen from getting to work. The reason you target these bridges is because it makes it impossible to bring military equipment over. If people want to move themselves over, people or small vehicles, there's always a way around. The reason you blow up highways and bridges specifically is because they're basically bottlenecks for the movement of heavy equipment. That's their concern. They want to stop, I'm assuming they would stop artillery from getting over there. They don't want artillery to be able to shell Keshem Island. Assuming that's the goal, to invade Keshem Island, that's probably what they're trying to stop. The ability for Iran to move artillery into the area to respond. Thing is, if America tries to take that island, wouldn't they be under constant drone fire? Yes. But, like, artillery is a bigger threat there.
It's attacked a command center in Syria and destroyed maritime and air control radar systems in Oman. Jordan says it intercepted and destroyed incoming Iranian missiles. Kuwait and Bahrain have also reported threats, while here in Qatar, falling shrapnel injured one child. Russell Surda joins us now live from Tehran. Russell, another night of US attacks across the country. What was targeted?
Well, this time what we have seen was a systemic attack on the Iranian civilian infrastructure. So we're talking about the bridges, railways, and airports. So 7 bridges were hit, and 6 of them are in Bandar Khamir. So Bandar Khamir, where most of these bridges are connecting the port and Bandar Abbas also to the city of Lar, so 200 miles inland. And these are quite important because Bandar Khamir is a small town, a small port town. It's very much close to Kashm Island, the biggest island in the Gulf. So, and then these lines that are connected by these bridges are quite important for the movement.
If infrastructure strikes were going to be effective, the Iranian military would have folded. Iran's a big country, man. There's 100 million people there, you know? It's not like we're peppering you know, a little backwater nation or whatever. The real I'm assuming, and this is just a guess because I don't know, but my guess is, hold on, let me pull up live UA map. My guess is if they are going with an invasion of Keshem Island, which would be insane, by the way. It would be absolutely insane for them to do this. Totally crazy. Bandar Abbas is only like, what, 5 miles from the coast of the island? I guess I don't really know the range of modern artillery, but it would definitely be in excess of 5 miles. Hold on. Range of Iranian artillery. Artillery range spans from 10 kilometers for light tactical systems to over 75 for multi-launch rocket systems. What about their... Hold on. Most common Iranian artillery platform. The MLRS, specifically the Hadid, HM-20, and RAD systems. Okay, that's not artillery in the sense... I was thinking like Russian artillery, like actual shells, but okay, whatever. These could easily hit the island. It's in range. It's definitely in range. We looked at that Evergreen, yeah. Artillery is easy picking for U.S. Air Force, though, so I don't know. Not as much as you might think. That's the reason why they're cutting off bridges. It is really difficult to take out a bunch of, like, spread out artillery positions in a dense city. This is a dense city. It's why they're taking out those bridges. That's the point. You know, you fire a couple of shots onto the island, you move over into another building, you basically turn this entire... This is what we've learned from the Ukraine war. I mean, it's been the case for at least a century that cities are incredibly fucking effective defensive positions, but, like, it's the reason why Ukraine puts their armor in cities rather than out in the middle of the forest. If you put them in the middle of the forest, they're open, they're just like sitting ducks. If you hide them in the cities, there's an infinite number of little tunnels and buildings and basements you can hide them in, especially with, you know, relatively small artillery. You can do all kinds of crazy stuff there. We're basically just talking about trucks, you know? Keep in mind how much ammunition we've depleted even in the early months of the war. Their most common is the Soviet M46 towed gun, 130 millimeter shell. And what's the range of that? More than 5 miles, I assume? Wouldn't be very effective artillery if it wasn't. Maximum firing range is 16 miles unassisted. Yeah, okay, yeah. More than capable of hitting the island. Actually, a naval invasion seems to be the best option for the U.S. to win war. I mean, I could be completely off on this. It feels to me like if we sent troops over here, it would be a fucking bloodbath. It would not surprise me if Iran has trapped this island up to the fucking gills. And what do we do once we send our boys in there? The whole island is now an open target. Like, what the problem from our perspective is that Iran can fire drones into the strait from basically anywhere. If you took the entire coast of Iran, what do? They fire drones from inland. They're drones. That's the point. I don't think there's like a winning play here. Not really. It can be taken, but you wouldn't like the images or stories coming out of this. I really don't think the American psyche is ready for like kill cam videos from Iranian suicide drones. You see your like apple-cheeked 18-year-old farm boys getting sent off to Keshem Island, looking up bewildered 8 nanoseconds before their upper body gets vaporized. Or like American soldiers stepping on landmines. I like, the war has gotten real nasty since the last time we put our boys like properly at risk. Has to be a fake out then? Yeah, but what benefit is there to trying to convince Iran you're going to do a ground invasion of Keshem Island? Like what, just get them to move around some artillery? Hoping to rattle them into concessions? I guarantee you Iran would prefer this to what's currently happening.
People, for the fuel, and of course for the military ammunition as well. And then Bandar Abbas Railway also was hit. Bandar Abbas Railway is quite an important one because that is simply connecting the country's largest port to the central Iran, particularly the cities such as Shiraz. So what we're seeing here, these attacks are aiming to cut off the southern part of the country with the main inland. And that is...
Iran attacked the U.S. base in Qatar overnight. Oh, they did more than that, buddy. Iran hit MO depots and bases in northern Iraq. Pretty bad. Seemed to have started the Hollywood fires again, the Hollywood Hills. Strikes on the largest U.S. airbase in the Middle East. Yeah. We don't have any footage of this.
It's quite a huge concern for Iranians. So another target that was hit is the railway and also the airport in Iran Shahr, which is in Sistan, Balochistan, close to the Pakistani border. That is also important because there are some of the separatist groups in Sistan, Balochistan that are fighting against the Iranian army since decades. So degrading IRGC's capacity here could lead to insurgency.
Okay, that opens up a whole new concept of what this conflict could mean in the future then, Russell. So
no, with recon drones, artillery crews can walk shells and open infantry with a couple of minutes being spotted. It's just such an unbelievably bad position to have to hold. There's also not really a way to sneak attack Keshem Island because everyone would see the amphibious landing craft making their way over. Like, you can't hide that. Everything's in the open now. Everyone would see like 3 or 4 gigantic landers moving over to the island. They might get hit on the way. It's not like Iran's not ready for this, you know? What do you think it's going to look like on American news if they fire a fucking salvo at the amphibious landing craft and they get sunk before they even make it there? Even considerable damage to one of them could end up killing hundreds of soldiers before they even make landfall. It would be like fucking Normandy. It would like just like an unbelievably stupid fucking decision, but I don't know what else we're planning to do. We don't have any other out here. I mean, we don't have any out at all, basically. Senior Iranian official Moshe Rezeh, probably mispronounced that. Even in this stage, which is the stage of retaliation, the stage of deterrence, we are hitting hard, and in the coming days will increase the intensity. Americans should wait for waves of drones. America should wait for waves of missiles. And now, if you land, for example, if you land somewhere, well, suppose you were able to, then how are you going to get away? How are you going to escape? Jesus Christ. I'm telling you, man, they're waiting for it. They're jerking their little dingalings, getting excited about the idea that we'd be stupid enough to attempt a ground invasion of the island.
what has Iran's response been to last night's attacks and the previous nights?
Well, mostly the statements are coming from the military officials. The first one was from the spokesperson of Khatam al-Anbiya Joint Command Center. It is the body that is overseeing Iran's war affair, and he said infrastructure for infrastructure. That is Iran's policy. If the United States attacks Iranian critical infrastructure, power plants, energy facilities, bridges, the water facilities, so Tehran's response is going to be in kind. They're going to attack all the critical infrastructure in the region. And then, in the same line, we have seen another statement coming from the spokesperson of the armed forces of Iran, Abolfaz Shekarchi. And he's saying that our official position, we are officially declaring that if the Americans strike and target the infrastructure of the Islamic Republic, all the infrastructure in the region will become our legitimate target. If Iran will not be able to sell oil, no one in the region can. So what we're seeing
seems fair to me.
Here is tit for tat policy that is being adopted by Iran. And of course, these statements came before American attacks on the critical infrastructure. So
you said you thought that invading Iraq should have been easy. It's worth remembering that our invasion of Iraq, the first and second ones, were both planned very well in advance. Like the Pentagon, both for the Gulf War and for the invasion of Iraq in 2003, had about a year in both cases to not only assemble all the logistics necessary, but to come up with a good plan. We don't have that this time. We don't have the luxury of a bunch of planning beforehand. And also, keep in mind that in Iraq, we were fighting the Iraqi military. It is much easier to defeat a military, even a very strong one like Iraq back during the Gulf War, than it is to occupy contested territory. You know, people in Iraq didn't really like Saddam Hussein, but war has changed in the past 30 years by a lot, you know? We were terrified of like IEDs back in the day. That was the like threat level in the invasion of Iraq by insurgency. Now you can just fire drones at anything. It's like the war has made it so much more difficult to occupy unfriendly territory. It's like impossible. I mean, Russia and Ukraine can barely move the line, even with how many people are dying over there. Also, in the first Iraq war, Bush stopped the war early before an insurgency could make him lose. Yup.
To see what will be Iran's response.
Bristol Suda joining us from the Iranian capital, Tehran. Thank you. Let's go to Laura Khan now, who joins us live from Doha. Laura, alerts going off in the early hours of this morning in Qatar. What have authorities had to say?
That's right, Anna. We all heard it from here at around 3:30 a.m. local time. Alerts were going off on everyone's phones. There was a public security announcement telling people to get away from the windows, to stay inside, to shelter. We then heard a number of explosions above as interceptions were taking place. A second incoming around 5:45 in the morning now. With the first round, we know that from falling debris from one of those interceptions, from the Interior Minister of Qatar, they said a child had...
I also just really don't think the American psyche is capable of handling shaky iPhone video footage of Iranians doing like the Fortnite L dance over an American soldier dying after both legs have been blown off by a mine. I just don't think that we're equipped to deal with loss.
Had been injured, that they are now being treated. So obviously a very sad outcome from these missiles coming over. But this is very rare occurrence, especially in Qatar, where the defense infrastructure is multi-layered, multi-pronged, and especially their air.
George H.W. Bush was pretty smart with the U.S. military force. George H.W. Bush was a very, very smart guy, unbelievably evil, but a very smart guy. Probably the last of the real American aristocracy to hold the presidency, like the final member of the final president, the last of the presidents who was born and raised in the area of genuine American exceptionalism, like back when America really could do anything because of our overwhelming military, economic, and cultural might. Since then, it's all been on the way down. Of course, he used it for evil. I'm not defending him at all, but he was smart.
Defenses. So they do say they are at a high level of readiness and preparedness, but we've also seen this taking place throughout the Gulf in the morning. Trump
was born in that time too. Yeah, but Trump Trump is the next stage of the dialectic. You realize that, right? George H.W. Bush was like a Skull and Bones Club deep state CIA ghoul who could do anything he wanted. Donald Trump was the next step. America getting fat and greedy and bloated on its exceptionalism and becoming like an over-financialized shit pit. Like, Trump is the guy who exists because of George H.W. Bush. George H.W. Bush is the guy who coups like 50 democratically elected Latin American socialists. Trump is the guy who bankrupts 6 of his own companies because he set up a golden parachute in advance. Trump is representative of the opulence and financial decay that George H.W. Bush set the world up for.
Jordan, Bahrain, who accused Iran of targeting civilians, and also in Oman, we know there was a rocky outcrop that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard said they were targeting around this area in the north, and also took out some American infrastructure there. So obviously this escalation is continuing, and all the Gulf nations, specifically Qatar and Oman as well, are saying they need to de-escalate and choose a path on.
Good luck with that. Pakistani officials have said they warned Iran attacks in Saudi Arabia are a red line for Pakistan. Who the fuck cares what Pakistan wants, dog? Not even a real country.
Now the US military has released video of Marines boarding an oil tanker in the Gulf of Oman on Thursday. Its forces have redirected 3 commercial vessels. CENTCOM says they were trying to get past the blockade. US forces also disabled 1 other tanker. And in an exclusive interview, CENTCOM spokesman Captain Tim Hawkins told Al Jazeera the Strait of Hormuz remains open.
Traffic continues to flow through the Strait of Hormuz. Let me say that again. Traffic continues to flow through the Strait of Hormuz. It is open. And a number of commercial ships have used it in just the last 7 days. And they continue to use it even as we speak. And largely because of the work that the U.S. military has done in clearing mines and ensuring that we
have not done any mine clearing.
Pathways are safe and available for free and open flow of traffic, which includes
Sorry, that was a mistake.
Ships carrying global goods and energy supplies that are vital for both the region and the global economies.
Yeah. Navy Captain Tim Hawkins, when did you get this job? Spokesperson for CENTCOM, when did you get that job? When did you get that job? When did you get that job? I'm trying to see. I think you might have gotten that job recently. Wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't that long. No. What I'm saying is I suspect he got this job after Trump too. He's a captain. He's probably been in it for over 10 years now. Jesus Christ. When did you get this job? Not for how long have you been in the military. When did you become CENTCOM spokesperson? The only ships that are going through right now are the ones, following the Iran prescribed route. So when are we running out of crude? 8 minutes. Get ready. Say goodbye to your loved ones.